Something is happening at this World Cup that nobody in an executive office saw coming. Not the upsets, not the goals, not the drama in the final minutes of group stage matches. Something bigger than all of that. Something quieter, and something that cuts right to the heart of what this tournament has actually become. In the first 5 days of the 2026 World Cup, 5 separate moments unfolded across 3 countries that tell the same story from 5 completely different directions. 5 moments where the participants inside this tournament, the players, the teams, the nations, looked at the machine FIFA has built around this competition and pushed back against it. Some of that pushback was loud and public. Some of it was silent and logistical. Some came from individual players. Some came from entire nations simply trying to compete under conditions no World Cup team has ever previously faced. And together, those 5 moments add up to a picture that FIFA's promotional language, its press releases, its talk of the most incredible World Cup in history has completely failed to cover up. So let us go through all 5 of them, because each one on its own is a story. But when you line them up together, what you are looking at is something this tournament has never seen before. The first one started at halftime of Brazil versus Morocco on the 13th of June at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Brazil came from behind to draw 1-1. Vinicius Jr. scored the equalizer, cutting inside from the left and striking the ball beyond the goalkeeper with his right foot. A goal of genuine quality, the kind of moment you come to a World Cup to see. And when the halftime whistle blew, a reporter approached Vinicius to conduct what FIFA calls a mandatory interview, a brief media obligation that exists inside every broadcast agreement at this tournament, something players are required to do. Something that generates content for the television networks that pay FIFA billions of dollars for the rights to show these matches. Vinicius refused. The reporter told him there would be a fine. His response was 4 words that echoed across global football within minutes. "We will pay it." Nobody from Brazil, he said, was coming to that microphone. Now think about what that means. One of the most famous footballers on the planet, playing in the tournament his sport has built its entire calendar around, looked at a commercial obligation FIFA had written into its broadcast deal and decided that absorbing the financial penalty was preferable to fulfilling it. The football world did not react with outrage at Vinicius. It reacted with recognition, because everyone watching knows exactly what those mandatory halftime interviews exist for. They are not for the fans at the stadium. They are not for the players. They are content packages for broadcast partners. Commercial products wearing a journalism costume. And Vinicius said no. But here is why his refusal matters beyond the gesture itself. Because it did not happen in a vacuum. It happened in the same week that dozens of players signed an open letter demanding that FIFA reform its hydration break policy. Those 3-minute stoppages inserted into the 22nd minute of every half, justified as player welfare, scheduled precisely so that television networks can run advertising. The players asked for 6-minute breaks. They asked for independent scientific oversight. They asked for temperature measurements that actually reflect what the athletes on the pitch are experiencing. They asked, in plain language, to be treated as the reason the tournament exists rather than as the product the tournament sells. FIFA responded by keeping the 3-minute format exactly as it was. The commercial window remained intact. The welfare language remained in place. Nothing changed. Vinicius refusing a halftime interview is that same conversation. A player looking at an obligation that exists for commercial rather than football reasons and deciding, for the first time at this tournament, to draw a line. That is the first revolt, and it will not be the last. The second one happened on the 15th of June, and it stopped the entire tournament in its tracks. Spain versus Cape Verde, 0-0. Spain, the reigning European champions, ranked among the top 5 teams in the world. A squad built around some of the most technically gifted players of their generation could not score against a team from a nation of 560,000 people, playing in only their 2nd World Cup. Cape Verde's goalkeeper was extraordinary. Their defensive organization was complete. Their commitment was total. And when the final whistle blew, the scoreboard said what everyone in the stadium could already see. One of the genuine favorites for this tournament had been held scoreless by a team the size of a mid-sized American city. But here's what makes this result more than just a shock. Because at this World Cup, unlike any World Cup before it, the physical demands placed on the 48 competing nations are unlike anything the sport has ever required. Teams are traveling between matches across 3 countries, multiple cities, time zone changes, flight schedules that no previous World Cup edition has ever imposed. Iraq's squad is based in rural West Virginia. Spain prepared at a boarding school in Tennessee. Nations are adapting, adjusting, and competing simultaneously, not just against their opponents on the pitch, but against the logistical reality of a tournament spread across 16 cities in 3 different countries. The smaller nations, the ones without the budgets and infrastructure of the sport's largest federations, are managing those demands with fewer resources. That Cape Verde handled them well enough to keep a clean sheet against Spain is a tribute to their preparation, their organization, and their quality. It is also a very public statement about what this expanded format actually demands of the teams inside it. The third revolt involves not a player, not a result, but a flag. At the Germany versus Curaçao match in Houston, the broadcast cut to the VAR room in Dallas as part of the tournament's standard pre-match coverage. Routine procedure. Show the officials, introduce the technology, move on. But a camera found Sean Evans, a video assistant referee, forming a specific hand gesture. Downward facing, held low, hidden from easy view. A gesture that the Anti-Defamation League has formally designated a hate symbol since 2019. The FAIR Network, which is FIFA's own official anti-discrimination monitor at this tournament, immediately issued a statement. Their experts said the gesture clearly matched a white power symbol used in far-right circles around the world. And they said the part FIFA really did not want to hear. That official, they said, should have no further role at this World Cup. FIFA's own anti-discrimination body publicly demanding the removal of one of FIFA's own officials. FIFA investigated, and in less than 24 hours, they cleared him. No evidence of a breach, they said. An involuntary, subconscious twitch, the official explained. An accident. Maybe it was. Context always matters with gestures, and a benefit of the doubt is reasonable in isolation. But FAIR is not satisfied. They are still seeking clarification. The organization FIFA hired to protect the integrity of this tournament from exactly this kind of moment is publicly unsatisfied with how FIFA handled it. And here is the detail that cannot be explained away. In every match before that Germany game, the broadcast showed VAR officials facing the camera. In every match after it, the cameras showed them from behind, backs turned, faces hidden. FIFA has not commented on that change. They simply made it quietly and moved on. You do not change the camera angle because there is no problem. You change the camera angle because the problem frightened you. The fourth revolt is the one that may be the most uncomfortable of all to talk about, because it is not a gesture or a result or a refusal. It is simply a team persisting through conditions that should never have been allowed to exist in the first place. Iran's squad qualified for their 7th World Cup. Professional athletes who earned their place in this tournament through months of qualifying competition. And they are playing their group stage matches while sleeping in Mexico, crossing an international border on match days because the primary host country refused visas to 15 of their federation officials, including their president and vice president. Their supporters have had their ticket allocations revoked. Their administrative leadership cannot enter the venues where their players compete. Iran is at this World Cup. Their players are there. The football is happening. But the conditions under which it is happening are the most direct evidence this tournament has produced of the gap between FIFA's language about inclusion and the operational reality of what inclusion at the 2026 World Cup actually means. And the fifth revolt is the broadest and in some ways the most significant of all, because it does not belong to one player or one team or one nation. It belongs to the format itself. The 48-team expansion was announced as a statement about inclusion. More of the world at the World Cup. More nations, more stories, more football. And that is true. But inclusion comes with a price. And the teams paying that price are beginning to say so out loud. The travel demands of a tournament spread across 3 countries and 16 cities are unlike anything any previous World Cup has required. The open letter from dozens of players about heat protocols was the clearest formal expression of this revolt. Players putting their names on a document that said FIFA has got the balance wrong between commercial obligation and genuine athlete welfare. FIFA acknowledged the letter and changed nothing. None of these 5 revolts are the same. They come from different directions, through different mechanisms, with different immediate consequences. But they share something. Every single one of them is an expression of the gap between the tournament FIFA designed and the tournament that participants are actually experiencing. Between the most incredible World Cup in history and the operational reality of officials crossing borders on match days, players paying fines rather than feeding the broadcast machine, and a racism monitor telling the world it is not satisfied with FIFA's own investigation, the football has delivered its own answer to all of it. Cape Verde holding Spain, Vinicius scoring that goal against Morocco, Iran's players taking the field regardless, Qatar earning their first ever World Cup point. Scotland winning for the first time in 36 years. The moments arrive. They always do. But they arrive this time alongside something new. A pattern of resistance that no World Cup has previously produced in this form or at this scale. So what do you think? Do these 5 revolts feel like the beginning of something real? Or do they feel like friction that a tournament this large, this commercially powerful, and this institutionally entrenched will simply absorb and move past without changing a single thing? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. A like genuinely helps more than you would think, and subscribe if you want World Cup coverage that follows the story behind the story. Football at this scale is never just a tournament. It is a moment in time. And right now, the participants inside FIFA's moment are starting to push back.